starting to heat up, ladies and gentlemen, and one of the most creative scorers in the W.
Starting to go on a rampage here. They've cut it to 5.
And with the first overall selection in the 2023 NHL Draft, the Chicago Blackhawks are very proud to select from the Regina Pats, the Western Hockey League, Connor Bedard.
What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Hughes, and you are listening to Mike on the Mic and Everything Chicago Sports Related podcast. Today is July 8th, 2023, and we are another day in the Bronx. Another day the Chicago Cubs will be going up against the New York Yankees. Last night was the opener, and the first time in history that the Chicago Cubs have won a game in New York against the Yankees. They've beaten the Yankees before, but the first time ever beating the Yankees at home, at their home. It's a crazy feeling. It's a crazy stat. It's something that not a lot of people even anticipate. It's a conversation to where really, like, it's a first time ever doing it. And who to do it better with than Jameson Taillon, the guy who got left off the Yankees playoff roster, who wasn't even brought on a taxi squad. They didn't think he was good enough to pitch in the obvious playoffs in 2023. And what does he do? He has a rough season all year long for the Chicago Cubs. Not great. Obviously, it's been very lackluster. 8 shutout innings, a 1-hit bit, several strikeouts, only a couple walks. You love to see it. Jameson Taillon with a career game, to be honest. That's probably the best game he's ever had in the major leagues. But that's super dope, super great to see him get after it, see him do his thing. The Chicago Cubs win 3-0 with help of Cody Bellinger, who hits a blast against Carlos Rodon. You love to see that. Carlos Rodon's first start of the MLB 2023 season. It really is what it is. It really is what it is right now, and we're moving forward, and you have to kind of take it in strides. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean by it is what it is. Like, okay, we won this game, cool, on to the next, because we know what it's like to lose a bunch of games as well. Moving forward, looking into the future, I think we can't really look into what the trade deadline is going to look like, what everything after the second half of the season is going to look like. We really just need to focus on now. And I think that's probably the best thing that David Ross and company in Napoli can really express is just being the best versions of themselves, really getting after it, really having conversations about, listen, we're going to take it day by day and see what happens. Whoever's on this roster post deadline, let's rock and roll. And we're going to try to win as many games as possible because I think not only are the fans tired of selling every single trade deadline, but I think the team is probably tired of it as well. Nico Horner and Ian Happ are probably exhausted of losing all of their teammates every single midseason. You know what I mean? Like that's definitely something that's been felt. Right now, Kyle Hendricks with a 2.64 ERA on the year. Right now, you have Justin Steele and Marcus Stroman, who are the two best pitchers in baseball at this very moment. Obviously, there's a little bias there, but I'm also not completely wrong. You know what I mean? Justin Steele is without a doubt a top 3 player in baseball. Marcus Stroman is without a doubt top 10, if not top 5. I'm loving what I'm seeing from the Chicago Cubs right now. They're moving in the right direction. Cody Bellinger is batting over 470 over the last couple weeks since he's returned from his injury. He's batting over 300 on the year. He's really doing what he's doing, and obviously it's not a huge sample size because he was out for a little while. My guy John says, Cubs will be buyers at the deadline. Do you have a prediction for the Bears record next season? I believe the Bears are going to win around 8 to 10 games. Could win 12 at max, you know what I mean? But it's definitely a situation for me right now with the Chicago Cubs to where I wouldn't be upset if they were buyers at the deadline. I would prefer they sell off a couple of their bullpen arms, see what you can get for them. But it's going to be really interesting to see what the future of this team is going to be. So I think at the end of the day, as long as they keep that mentality of keeping Marcus Stroman, keeping guys like that, I think we're going to be in a good place. Now, like I said in a previous video, I do believe you can trade Marcus Stroman. I do believe those are conversations that you can legitimately have, but it's going to have to be like the New York Yankees in 2016 with Aroldis Chapman. Obviously, you're getting Gleyber Torres from the Chicago Cubs, giving Aroldis Chapman an opportunity to win his only championship he's ever won. He's been with the Reds, the Yankees, the Cubs, obviously the Rangers and the Royals. This is his only championship was with the Chicago Cubs in that half a season. And you have to look at that and say, Marcus Stroman, listen, we want to re-sign you at the end of this season. You're very important to this team, but it's more important for this team to get more younger assets right now to help you moving forward. You get a guy like Gleyber Torres, you get a guy, let's say, like Dylan Cease or Eloy Jimenez, like we traded away for the Jose Quintana trade, or even when you look at what the Reds got for a guy like Castillo, you look at that and you go, if we can get all of those assets and get Marcus Stroman back, I think the Chicago Cubs are going to be in a great place. Obviously, that's going to come with time, but I definitely think that would be the best option for the Chicago Cubs right now. You want to make sure Marcus Stroman know, listen, we want to re-sign you at the end of the year, even if you win a championship with the Dodgers or the Astros or wherever we send you, the Padres, wherever. I don't know. But it's definitely, or even the Braves, to be honest. But that's a whole different conversation. We're not going to do that right now because we have no idea where these guys might land. And it's very hard to predict that unless it kind of gets out there that someone's interested. But with that being said, breaking that down and understanding that, guys like Drew Smyly are a lot less safe because the interest in having him return with guys like Jordan Wicks, Cade Horton, obviously Caleb Killian, Hayden Westneski, all these guys in the minors almost ready to come up. It's a lot harder to make that conversation kind of whole. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be really dope to see what happens. The Chicago Cubs in this game, obviously, were without Dansby Swanson, who has a foot contusion right now. It's just a little bruise, I've heard. It's nothing crazy. But yeah, it's definitely something that I think the Cubs will be able to benefit from moving forward with Nico Hoerner being at short. Obviously, he's very used to that. It's not going to be an issue. Dansby Swanson just trying to get healthy right now. That's one of the most important things. I think looking forward to it, it's going to matter what happens at the deadline. I really think it does because the Cubs are in a position right now where we're slowly climbing. We're slowly climbing. We're slowly making some noise. We're slowly doing we're slowly doing what we're supposed to be doing and just winning games. We're third in the division now. We just climbed over the Pittsburgh Pirates, if I'm not mistaken. Now it's Reds, Brewers, Cubs, Pirates, Cardinals at fifth, who nobody could have predicted at the beginning of the season, except a couple people who just truly hate the Cardinals. But yeah, man, I think we're in a really good spot right now, and I would hate to lose guys like Bellinger, Stroman, Hendricks and company to the deadline. I understand it, but it's also one of those things like at some point we need to really make some noise and do what we need to do. But yeah, I'm excited nonetheless. The Cubs beat the Yankees in the Bronx. Obviously, the Anthony Rizzo return game wasn't what everybody was expecting. Anthony Rizzo's been having a rough go as of late. It's going to be interesting to see what the future holds for him. I really thought he was going to have an MVP type season. And that wasn't me being biased. That was me recognizing that the shift is gone and thinking that maybe with the shift gone, he's going to be able to be the best version of himself. But so far on the day, he went 0 for 3 with 3 at-bats. Anthony Rizzo is just kind of having a rough stretch of baseball right now. He's batting .258 on the year. It's one of those things where I think age is just coming into a factor. I mean, he's 33 years old, turning 34. This isn't MVP Riz of 2015, 2016. Yeah, I mean, and for the people in the comments, it kind of threw me off for a second. The microphone, that's just what it does. It's kind of its way of just I don't know. It looks cool. I guess that's why they did it that way. But the microphone is on. If it blinks blue, that means it's on. But I appreciate you letting me know that because if it wasn't, that would have sucked. We had Miguel Amaya again at catcher yesterday. He had 1 walk, 0 hits, and 3 at-bats. He had another game of Yan Gomes doing his due at the DH position. He went 0 for 4. Christopher Morel went 0 for 3. He had 1 walk. Nico Hoerner had 2 hits and 1 RBI and 4 at-bats. Seiya Suzuki had 1 hit and 4 at-bats. Ian Happ had 1 hit and 4 at-bats. Trey Mancini got 1 run, 1 walk, and 3 at-bats. Cody Bellinger, obviously, 2 hits, 2 RBI, or 1 RBI, 1 walk, and 2 runs scored in 3 at-bats. Cody Bellinger has been the MVP of this team offensively as of late. Patrick Wisdom got a hit and an RBI. He had four at-bats on the day. Jameson Taillon, 8 innings pitched, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks, 0 earned runs, and only 1 hit through 8 innings. Shutout baseball. You love to see it. Adbert Alzolay comes in for the 9th. 1 inning pitched, 1 hit, 1 strikeout, 0 earned runs, 0 walks. You love to fucking see it. Alzolay has really become the best version of himself, and in this closing role, he's been flourishing. And I think that's something I was very skeptical on going into the year. I felt like as a setup guy, maybe it made sense, but as an actual closer, it was kind of terrifying. Somebody in the comments said, "What do you think we could get Belly for?" You know what? It's an interesting conversation because I think you can get solid assets for a guy like Cody Bellinger. I was actually talking to my guy Frankie about it. He's a Yankee fan, and he thinks that the Yankees will be in on a guy like Cody Bellinger. But I just, with the injury, with everything that happened, like let's look up Cody Bellinger's stats really quick, because obviously he's batting over 300, but how many at bats has he had? You know what I mean? Like the injury obviously was such a huge part of that. I don't want to trade Belly. For everybody asking, I think really seeing how he does in the second half of the season, whether it's good or bad, I'd rather take an opportunity on that. We have guys like PCA, the Jaguar, obviously Brennan Davis and company in the minors that I believe in, that I think are going to be a huge part of this team moving forward. And it's nice to have Belly here for right now. So I'm cool with that. Cody Bellinger on the year in 211 at-bats, has 64 hits, 9 home runs, 303 batting average, 43 runs, 29 RBIs, 11 stolen bases, an OBP of 359, slugging of 502, OPS is 861, and an OPS plus of 132. And an elite defense defensively in center field, and played a little bit of first base. So he's definitely got that magnitude. He's definitely got that multitude of assets that he can bring to a team. Right now, for me, I think the bigger thing is keeping him a part of this team, because he's one of those guys that, you know, you really look at and say, you got Frankie in the comments already. Cody will be a Yankee in by 2 weeks. Yeah, he loves Cody Bellinger. He wants him on the Yankees. Like I said, what's wrong with your eye, bro? I got scratched in the eye, bro. I don't know what happened. But yeah, I woke up. This is how my eye looks. But it's definitely something that I think at the end of the day, you need to look at and say, maybe it's not the best situation to trade Cody Bellinger unless you're really getting top prospects for him. And I don't see that happening. You know what I mean? In 211 at-bats, you're going to trade your farm for Cody Bellinger for half a season. You know what I mean? And if this was MVP Belly, I think there's conversations about that. But I just think right now it's better for the Chicago Cubs if we're to bet on a guy like him. You know what I mean? Like I think it benefits both sides. I think it makes us look a lot better than just signing free agents and then kicking them to the curb 60 plus games into the year, because that's really how we're starting to look. That's really how a lot of people are starting to view us and are starting to see us. And I think that's very frustrating. But I'm excited moving forward. I'm excited to see what the future holds for the Chicago Cubs. I'm excited to see what the future might hold for Cody Bellinger, because I do think he can go on an amazing tear and an amazing run in the second half of the year. We're still looking for that power. Obviously, we brought in guys like Trey Mancini and Cody Bellinger to see if they could be those guys. They just haven't, but it is what it is. Belly is blocking young players too. He's really not. He's really not, though. If you really like I follow minor league baseball. I love minor league baseball. Cubs baseball, Iowa, South Bend, Tennessee, everywhere, Myrtle Beach. I love it. I follow in with everybody. You know what I mean? That's how we have so many guests on the show. That's why we've had Matt Mervis. That's why we've had Patrick Wisdom. That's why we've had Brennan Davis, James Triantos, Caleb Knight. The list goes on. We're going to have Jared Young on here in a couple weeks. But with that being said, why I don't think he's blocking the way for anybody right now is Pete Crow Armstrong is still in Double-A. Kevin Alcantara is still in Double-A. You know what I mean? Like and Crow is a dog. And to say this though, I will make this point. I think Pete Crow Armstrong will be ready by 2024, but I'm curious to see how the team handles that on where the Cubs are going to be, because the kid hasn't even been to Triple-A yet. And I think that's really the conversation. Do you want him to just have a half a season in Triple-A and then bring him up the same way you did with Matt Mervis? Like, let the kid perfect himself. I'm not saying, it's a negative thing that what you're saying. Like, if he's ready by 2024, by all means, bring him up. If he's ready right now, by all means, bring him up. But the reality of the situation is Cody is a placeholder right now for actual MLB production. These guys aren't ready. You know what I mean? Like, Pete is going to be a dog. Pete is going to be a stud, and I think he's going to be the franchise player of this team. One of, if not the franchise player. I also love Kevin Alcantara. I think what he does and what he brings, a Jaguar, absolutely insane. You know what I mean? So I'm excited about it. Mervis is still killing AAA ball, but after being sent back down. Yeah, Merv is an interesting situation, and we talked about this all offseason. You have these guys, and I mean no disrespect to anybody specifically, but this is as a whole. You got guys on networks, you got guys on big platforms talking about bring Wisdom up, and not Wisdom, bring Matt Mervis up, bring Christopher Morel up. They need to be here. They need to be here. This is in April. And they're the same guys that complain saying that Mervis wasn't ready and it was all fraud and Morel isn't ready and it was all a facade. Like, be real. Understand what player development is. Understand the game of baseball. Don't just have fan takes. Don't just be a casual. Like, Matt Mervis went in a single season from single A to double A to triple A in a span of 6 months, and then started half a month in April in triple A, crushed it, and then they brought him to the major leagues for 27 games, and when he wasn't performing, they said, you got to get out of here. Like, Matt's issue was, one, hitting against lefties consistently, not just in April, consistently. And then obviously off-speed stuff, curveballs, sliders, cutters, stuff out of the zone, stuff like that is stuff he needed to work on. The guy can mash a fastball, but in the league, once guys figure out that you can't hit anything other than a fastball, not to say that Matt can't, it's definitely an issue. But yeah, man, I think at the end of the day, we need to look at it like that. We need to have these conversations that these guys are going to be okay. We just got to give them time to be okay. We have to give them time to develop and become something legit so that this team can actually win a World Series. But with that being said, we are about to start the game. It's going to be exciting. In about 15 minutes, the game's going to be going underway. I know my guy Frankie's probably really excited about it, but we're going to hop off. We're going to get ready for the game. We're going to be going live during the game, so definitely be back at that. It's a 12:05 Central start today. Until then, I appreciate you guys for listening. This is Mike Hughes from Mike on the Mic from the All Sports All Plays Network. And go Cubs, baby. Let's get game 2.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. We talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.